Good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock, and this is Conversations with the Council President. This is your Council President, Felicia Moore. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend, and I hope you're looking forward to a wonderful week. I hope you are doing what we all should be doing, and that is staying home when we can, making sure we social distance when we're out, and particularly making sure that we are wearing face covering and masks. So I'll talk a little bit about that. And I also wanted to mention the thing that I always start to mention because I think it's very important for us to remember that we have our Census 2020 forms that have come in the mail, and they're waiting on you to turn them in or go online and do that. Please make sure you get counted. As I tell you, this COVID-19 is one very good example on how the census is extremely important when it's being counted. When the first CARES Act came out, the city of Atlanta was not included because it was for cities over 500,000, and we had not met that mark. But thanks to our legislators up in the federal government, they were able to get the city of Atlanta on the list. But we shouldn't have had to work that way. We should have made sure that we were counted 10 years ago. So please make sure you get counted. There will be a lot of federal funds that will be allocated to cities during this COVID-19 as well as into the future. And we want to make sure the city of Atlanta gets their fair share, because understand this, the money that you pay to the federal government, we're just trying to get some of that money back. And the more of that money that we can get back, the better we are able as a city to supply you the services that you need and not raise property taxes or fees or other things that impact you directly. We're able to get the money back from the federal government that is so deservingly needed here in the city of Atlanta. So please make sure you fill out that Census 2020. It also affects quite greatly as well elections, how districts are apportioned, and who your representatives may be. There are many impacts of the census that you may not realize, and so I would just encourage everyone, if you haven't already done it, to please make sure you fill out your census form. Another extremely important form that came through the mail was for your absentee ballot. Now, if you voted back early in March, you can still vote, because this is now going to send you the presidential election ballot. So I had someone tell me they threw it away because they had already voted early. Don't throw it away. If you did, then go to Fulton County or the Secretary and make sure that you get an absentee ballot application, and they will send you that ballot in the mail. You can fill it out and mail it in, or if you keep watching my page, we'll also make sure we give you the information when it becomes available. They're looking at drop-off boxes where you can drop it off. So you can just drive through and drop it off in a identified location box. I believe that is going to be a lot of the way that it's going. Unfortunately, it was recently reported that one of the Fulton County Election Board representatives had died and another was ill, and they have now shut down the office. I'm not sure if it's going to be open this week so that they can desanitize and start over again. I haven't heard similar information in DeKalb, because we do have Atlanta in DeKalb County. But I do know on the Fulton County side that they say that it is going to sort of slow down their processing of those absentee ballot applications. So please make sure you get yours in. So Heather says, thank you. Can we check online if we already did our census? I thought I did online and we got paperwork again in the mail. So there have the, Heather, the automatic mailing. They send you the application, and then I think they send you 2 or 3 other reminders. And because the deadline has been moved back, then they are sending additional ones. So if you've already done it, great. Just encourage 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6 other people to do the same thing. You see the information there now for your Fulton County absentee ballots. If you threw it away and thought it didn't apply to you, it does. Make sure you fill it in. We don't want to have to go to the polls And I think that they are looking again at drop-off locations for ballots for the absentee and encouraging people to do it by mail so that we don't have to be in crowds and try to practice social distancing. And we certainly don't want to put our elections workers in harm's way. Many of them are our seniors. They do this because they're retired, they have the time, and they love getting out in the public. But they are a vulnerable population when it comes to COVID-19, so we don't want to put them at risk. So if you can, please fill out those absentee ballots online. So you also know what's going on now with the COVID-19. April 30th was the deadline that was originally given for stay at home, and I'm encouraging everyone to do that. Stay at home as much as you can, particularly up to April 30th and beyond. I just think the more you limit your exposure to people outside of your household, the better. So let's see, cousins, I have a question for you, but I would like to ask offline. How can I do that? Okay, I will give you my contact information. The best way to reach me, excuse me for my other phone, I need to silence it. The best way to reach me is to email me at fmoore@atlantaga.gov, and I'll have it posted, and we will respond back if you want to schedule a phone call with me, or if you just want to email your concerns and we can respond back to you. And I want to thank my great staff. We've been working from home, and I mean we've been working. This has been a new arrangement for all of city government because we are teleworking. And so give us a minute to respond back to you. But one of the things I want my office to do, and we always endeavor to do, every once in a while, something falls through the cracks, but we try to respond to each and every email and phone call that we get. We may not have the answers, we may not be able to solve the problem, but we certainly can respond. Again, the best way is to email at fmoore@atlantaga.gov, and it's up there now. So we talked about where we are with COVID-19. So April 30th was the deadline that the governor gave when he did his stay-in-place order. And as you know, his stay-in-place orders supersede anything the city's done. So we are under that governor's order. He then reissued an order, which everybody knows about, everybody all over the country, because it's all over national news, being one of the first states, the state of Georgia, to open up massage parlors, barbershops, manicure shops, etc. And then today is the opening of restaurants. The Georgia Restaurant Association has put out a significant guidelines for their restaurants who do want to open, to try to make sure they're social distancing, proper sanitation, as well as making sure that they keep enough soap and water and in there. Now, that's up to you if you would like to do that. Many restaurants are not opening as well as some that are, and and there's the information from the restaurant world, but some are still just doing takeout, and so that is something that I would encourage if you want to go to a restaurant. One thing that I'm noticing though, and the only place I've actually been, other than maybe just driving in the car, has been the grocery store. And I'm noticing that right after the governor's announcement about sort of opening it up, that I see less people with face coverings on. I'm seeing that, and I'm really, as I posted earlier, I have shook my head so much this weekend. My head hurts from all of the posts that I've seen, not only here in Atlanta, but across the country, where people are just not taking this seriously at all. They're not wearing the face mask, or if they do, they're wearing it below their nose or under their chin. That doesn't help anyone. And I want to say this about face masks because I think that there's a misconception. It's been said, but I do think that it is important that people really understand, so that you're not misled or probably feel a bit of security other than you need to. So the face mask that they are asking, or face covering, whether it's a bandana, a scarf, or those surgical masks, what that is doing is keeping back the droplets that come from your mouth. Like now, if it was microscopic, you could see droplets everywhere from me just talking to you, not alone sneezing or coughing. And so that is to keep that down so that it does not disperse in the air and other people will breathe it. Now, it's not 100%, but it does reduce it significantly. So if everybody wore that, it would reduce significantly the droplets that people are putting out in the air. So understand that when you wear just a face covering or a thin mask, what you're doing is trying to keep other people from getting sick. Now, I believe that the reason why that is being proffered to people to wear is, one, to reduce it. That doesn't mean you should not still have the social distancing. That is still important. With the mask on, you definitely need that social distancing. Without it, you need probably a whole lot more. But one of the reasons is the N95 masks are the ones that are being used by our healthcare professionals. Those keep droplets from coming to you. So they protect you from the droplets in the air. And one of the reasons why they're being promoting for people to use the thinner or either your own personal face covering is because there's a very limited supply of the N95 mask. And of those masks, very few people get them, and they don't want you trying to get them so that it takes supply away from the healthcare workers. So I just want you to understand the N95 mask is the gold standard mask, but it is not one that is readily available. And so the best thing that all of us can do is wear face coverings. And that's why it's important for the social distancing, because a lot of people aren't wearing them. And so they're not protecting them. So I see Ms. Turner says there's a lot of news about Aubrey Terrace assisted living facilities and those with COVID-19. What is happening with Somerset, Sadie Mae Senior Facility, and checking on them. I don't have specific information about each and every one of those, but I do know that the National Guard has been deployed not only to Aubrey Terrace and Somerset. I can't validate every single location, but the governor a while back put that in place. And what they're doing is they're going inside of these congregate care facilities. They're sanitizing them from head to toe, and they're also training the staff on how to deal with infection control. So understand, prior to COVID-19, if you're a news junkie like me, you saw a large number of articles in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and if you didn't, you can always go back and look them up. And they did a years-long investigation before they started their reporting on the poor state of our, I'm going to say, nursing homes, assisted living, congregate care facilities. That's from the VA facilities all the way to the private owners. And it was shocking and heartbreaking to see the issues that were taking place in these care facilities. Fast forward now to COVID-19, it's only sort of exacerbated the problem. So what needs to happen is, I think that this is shedding the light on the effects of COVID-19 for African American community. It's also shedding a light, I believe, on the state of our assisted living facilities, and they're going to have to step it up a bit. Many of the CNAs who work there have minimal training and probably have a lower education level, and they work hard. They are doing the work that people would not want to do, but they've not been trained in infectious control. So not only are the patients at risk, but these frontline essential workers in these nursing care facilities are at risk as well. So there needs to be some very focused attention and wholesale training and getting these facilities up and running to a point where people are not infecting each other or being infected. So I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more about that. This is happening not only in Atlanta, but if you watch national news or national cable news, it's happening in large numbers across the country. Frankly, if we were able to get two things under control, we would be able to see a significant drop, I believe, in COVID-19. One are the nursing homes, assisted living, congregate care facilities, and number two are the prisons and jails across the country. Those are just both petri dishes for this. And I know that it's controversial in some manners, but particularly when you're talking about jails are people who are being held until they have trial. And I think people miss that point, that most of the people who are in jail are awaiting trial. And so they have not been found guilty. And in this country, you're innocent until proven guilty. But they're being held for trial. And many of them are, many jails are running into the issue with COVID-19. I know our Fulton County Jail is looking at releasing some people, and they have. And I think they need to step it up some more because it is severely overcrowded. We have people sleeping on the floor, and so that facility is overcrowded. But the prison population is also another population that's seeing across the country a marked increase in COVID-19 because they try to pack as many people as they can in, and many of them have the situations where they have pods, and in those pods they have 2 to 3 high stacks of people in beds and bunk beds, and then those beds are very close to each other, so there's absolutely no way that they are able to social distance because there is no distance to get between one prisoner and the other, and hygiene materials just like the basic soap and those kinds of things are very difficult for them. And so there is now a push across the country to try to get, particularly those that are older, elderly, and medically fragile, to get them out of those prison situations and placed somewhere so that they're not in there. So those are the two places I think that if we are able to work on, we can see the numbers decrease significantly. But the other one can be in the general population. And as I was saying, I shook my head all weekend until my head hurt, was one seeing disturbing pictures from Piedmont Park in Midtown area where people were congregating. I didn't see anybody in those pictures with masks on. It makes absolutely no sense. Around restaurants, waiting to get into the park. I understand it was nice weather. I get it. You want to get out. You've been locked up. But you need to practice social distancing, and you still need to wear those face coverings. We need to do what we can to reduce it. So let's see, Ms. Brooks. I think they are working to assist in allowing as many inmates that can be released as possible. I also spoke with someone last week, and they have the same concern at the transitional center. Many of the staff members are concerned as well. Also, jobs have requested that some no longer work. That's true. And then, in our shelter population for the homeless, we have tested people that are asymptomatic as well, those with symptoms that have COVID-19. And, you try to get as many people as you can in the shelter when in fact, now that is not a viable thing. And the city of Atlanta has an isolation hotel where those who test positive can go. And then we also have opened up another hotel for more of the elderly that are 65 and older, I think, with some of the chronic issues that could potentially get it. We've opened up a hotel for them, and that is starting to fill up. And of course, I have some suggestions on other things because there are many, many people, particularly the unsheltered, that are on the streets that need help. And so I posted on my website, there have been some testing of them, and there's been low to no, I have to check tomorrow when we have the update call, but low numbers of people who are testing positive that have been tested, let's put it that way, in the unsheltered population. So there's a lot to deal with this COVID-19, and we're going to continue to do it. Mr. Akins asked me, when will the budget be released by the Finance Department or the Mayor's Office? It should be very soon, if not tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, Wednesday. I know Wednesday the Finance Executive Committee will be meeting. And I hope that they are going to have the budget then, and then we'll see how remotely we're able to handle the budget issue. I do not have it with me. Unfortunately, I started my live and left my notes somewhere else, but maybe someone can post the link to my Facebook post, which lists all of our committee meetings which are taking place this week. And as a matter of fact, one of them meets at, I think one of them meets right after this at 1 o'clock. Let me see if I can find it while I'm talking to you. But our committee meetings are now online. I mean, not on, yeah, they're online because they're posted live, but they're remote. So you'll hear the voices and you'll be able to see the votes as they take place. Let me see if I can find my post, my own post here. Okay, here it is. I think it is. Yeah. And so Public Safety and Legal Administration will be meeting today at 2. And so the post, which you can't hardly see, but it looks something like this. I know it's backwards, but the post will tell you when the committee meeting meets, and it will also have a phone number. So what we're doing now is we are allowing you to leave your own comments. We've been working on trying to get that done, and we were able to get it done at the special meeting, but we've always wanted you to be able to have the experience as close to having been at the City Hall as you can. And so there's a phone number there. It's too late for Public Safety and Legal Administration, but you can leave your voicemail to anything that you'd like to that committee 1 hour before the meeting. We also have Zoning and Committee on Council, which will be meeting during the council meeting. And so we will have a number for you to be able to call those during that council meeting day so that you can leave your message there as well. And we're going to make sure that we leave that posted in case you have a zoning related comment or a Committee on Council comment. Now, zoning comments, we will not be able to play any that relate to any zoning matters that are currently before council, because that's a legal issue. But if it's a general comment related to zoning, generally we can. So let me take a few more questions. I know you all wait to the very end. I'd like to end this at 1:30. I got about 6 more minutes. So let me see if I have any questions, if anybody has any questions or comments. But I do encourage everybody to try to use your own great sense that God gave you. Use common sense and be personally responsible for yourself and your family. Do not ingest anything that is not prescribed to you by your doctor. Make sure that if you are going out that you're being cautious about it. Think twice about those activities like massage parlors and barbershops and nail salons. Is it essential? Do you really need it? And if everybody's sheltered in place, who's going to see your hair and your nails anyway? So think about that. Take personal responsibility and personal thought and say, is this something I really need to do? And if I do it, am I putting myself in close contact and proximity with other people, or where other people have been that may get me in trouble? So, Mr. Scales, are the city employees going to get the $500 from March to June, and how much is that coming out of the general fund in the new budget or the old budget? So that is budgeted in this year's budget. I think, don't quote me, it was somewhere about $13 million. And city employees should have, who are going to get it, have already start to see that in their paychecks, and it is to go through June. And that's for essential workers. And if you did not receive it and you think that you should, please call the HR department. Let's see if there are any other questions. So anyway, again, I'm going to start to wrap up. Thank you for joining Conversations with the Council President. This is a way for me and my office to keep connected with you. Many of you, I'm sure, have already liked and followed Felicia Moore Atlanta City Council President page. Please share this page and invite others to join it. This is where you get all of the content that I post, and I would encourage you to share that and to make sure you tune into it quite often, because we post more information than you need. You will not be able to say, if I knew it, that you didn't know it, because I am sharing it with you all the time. So I want everybody to be safe. Since I don't have, well, hello, Kim, good to see you. Thank you. Yes, I agree with you, Miss Stanfield. Stand back. We are not out of the woods yet. Actually, we're probably just getting into it. And as I was saying, seeing all these posts of people at Piedmont Park, people at Gresham Park, which is not in the city, but right in DeKalb County, right outside the city. Oh, I saw a crazy video from Chicago where the young people were packed like sardines in a house party. Very few of them had masks on, and if they did, they didn't have them on their face. It's just, I don't get it. It's not that I think that people are ignorant or know about COVID-19. You hear about it when you wake up in the morning, all day on the news, and evening and night. So I don't think there's anybody that doesn't know about it. I just think that people are not either taking it seriously or think it doesn't apply to them. But particularly to the younger people out there, I know you want to get out, do what you used to do and congregate with your friends. You got to do that virtually, because you are bringing that home, and it's you that we're concerned about. A lot of young people are experiencing COVID-19, ending up in the hospital and dying. But the biggest thing is you may be asymptomatic. You may get it from being in that group, and you don't know you have it. And you go home and you hug your grandmother or your mother or your sister, your brother, or your other friends, and they may get it from you. So it's not only just your personal responsibility of taking care of yourself, it's being caring enough to care for others. So everybody stay safe, stay home as much as possible, wear your face covering, make sure you're doing your social distancing, and I'll see you here again for another Conversations with Council President. Have a great day.